Hey guys, I'm Alex out here for Sophie and again in Michigan, and this is the 2024 Chevy Traverse. For 2024, it's not a refresh, it's an all-new three-row crossover that is definitely borrowing an awful lot of style from the Chevy Tahoe. Unique for 2024 is not just that RS trim over there, which we'll talk about in a bit, but also this Z71, which again, borrows a lot of styling cues from the Z71 Tahoe. The big, bold horizontal grille, the much boxier, more upright design, and of course the big red tow hooks. This will even have skid plates. Powering all versions of the 2024 Traverse is going to be an all-new 2.5-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. So if you're looking for a naturally aspirated V6, the numbers are closing and closing in this segment. This is going to produce 315 horsepower, 317 pound-feet of torque, and it's going to send its power to the ground via an 8-speed automatic transmission. I don't have final details or specifications just yet for the vehicle, but this is about the same size as the outgoing model, so expect this to be one of the largest and most accommodating, especially if you're looking for a big cargo carrying three-row vehicle. It will still seat 8 or 7, depending on the trim level you get, and it's gonna have one of the biggest cargo areas. You can see how huge this is back here, not just above the load floor, but also under the load floor. There's a lot of cargo capacity, and we still have a spare tire there as well. Now that the hatch is closing, you can see the tail design. We have these tail lamp modules that remind me actually a little bit of some of Toyota's latest designs. This is the Z71 trim, but all models are going to get full LED tail lights, and all models are going to get quad exhaust tips. We're also going to be able to tow up to 5,000 pounds. Now let's take a quick look at the interior. Now let's check out the inside. The thunk sounds pretty decent, but you're probably going to forget about that once you're inside, because look at this screen setup. We have a nearly 18-inch touchscreen infotainment system that is going to be standard in all trims. Then we get a big, approximately 11-inch instrument cluster with a design that's about as customizable as the average Cadillac. Now, speaking of Cadillac, we have the shifter here on the steering column borrowed out of the Cadillac Lyriq. They say that gives us extra storage space in the center console, and I definitely believe it, because not only do we have this storage area right there under the console like you'd find in an EV, we have tons of storage on top of the console. Big cup holders, big Qi wireless charging mat, lots of extra storage space all the way around, and pretty comfortable seats. In this Z71 trim, I do have a power driver's seat with a 4-way adjustable lumbar support, but the passenger seat is manual. If you get the top end RS trim, then that becomes a powered seat as well. Now let's take a look at the second row. Again, this is going to come in either 7 or 8 passenger varieties. This is the 7-passenger version, so 2 up front, 2 here in the middle, 3 in the way back. These seats give you a lot of room, although oddly enough, depending on the seat position, you may find a little bit more headroom back there in the third row. I'm 6 feet tall, so a little bit taller than Sophian is. Let's check out that third row. Third row has long been a reason to buy the Traverse, and I think that continues for this generation. Keep in mind, this seat is all the way back in its tracks, so legroom is a little bit tight. My knees are just about touching that seat. But check out this headroom. I have maybe about 3 inches of headroom left. If you're looking for seat comfort for adults, you might want the Grand Highlander. The seat bottom cushion's a little higher off the ground, but this is simply going to give you more third row headroom than you'll find in that model. And it's definitely really easy to get in and out. If you take a look at the way these seats move, you can leave a child seat latch anchored into place and still tilt and slide these seats forward. And that applies not just to these manual seats, but also the powered second row seats. The RS trim is going to be the sporty model, but interestingly, it does not get the twin clutch rear axle that we find in the Z71. That's basically going to give you torque vectoring ability and limited slip functionality for improved off-road duty. But versus that Z71, you'll notice that the RS trim gets a different look. We get a similar amount of shiny plastic right here in this area, but we get these sort of frosted taillights rather than the red taillights. Then down lower, we get more gloss plastics rather than the dull black plastics that we find over there in that model. But the more significant change for a lot of folks is going to be down here. These are 22-inch wheels wrapped in 275 45 R22 tires. These are really, really wide tires in this segment. In fact, if you want tires that are this wide or wider, you're looking at a very exclusive number of three-row vehicles, and all of them are going to cost probably more than the Traverse. Now, unfortunately, at this point in time, we don't know any pricing details. I don't know official legroom or headroom figures, Don't know any pricing details, but I suspect this is going to be between $35,000 and $37,000 starting, so probably a little bit more expensive than the existing model. Some of that has to do with the standard feature content. Standard LED lights all the way around, that enormous LCD infotainment system. That is by far the biggest screen in this segment, and I do like the general graphic design of it as well. It's worth noting that versus the Hyundai and Kia competition, they've been really aggressive at big screens in the dashboard. The driver information screen, the instrument cluster, is much more adjustable than the ones that we find in the Hyundai and Kia lineup. I also like the new big and boxy looks. I'm intrigued by the Z71 trim. I'm not sure who out there is going to be really off-roading their big 3-row vehicle like this, but if you are looking for something that's going to be easier to park, easier to drive in terms of the on-road drive, less expensive and more fuel efficient than a Tahoe Z71, the Traverse now gives you that option. Let me know what you think about all that down there in the comment section, and stay tuned because hopefully Sophie and I will be driving this very soon. And let me know what you think about this rear window arrangement back here in the Chevy Traverse. One thing worth noting, if you come in close here, is that this sail section where we have the sheet metal of the vehicle kind of disguises the fact that the rear window is actually kind of a small triangle right from this angle right about there. So that's actually the rear window for the third row. It is a little on the small side compared to some of the competition, but it is centered right there towards the rear passengers' heads. Let me know what you think about all that, and of course stay tuned because hopefully there are going to be some more videos on the 2024 Traverse coming soon. You can find me over at facebook.com/theautobuyers guide and on YouTube as Alex on Autos as well. See all of you next week.